welcome or welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing something that I've never done before. We are going to be doing the mid-year book tag. I want to say it was 2 years ago I attempted to make this video. Just didn't really work out, and for some reason I just didn't try last year, but here we're back. We're going to try, and this video will actually see the day of light. I went ahead and Googled questions for today's video, and I ended up finding this article. I could say it's by bookswithbunny.com, where she did a book tab. It's a blog. So I just went ahead and like pretty much copied almost all of her questions. I think there's like a couple that I decided not to do, but I got all these questions from her. So I accumulated like 10 questions that I want to talk about today. So without further ado, let's get started. First question is the best book that I've read in 2024 so far. I'm going to start off with talking about Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I wouldn't say this is my most favorite book that I've read in 2024, but I feel right to say that this is the best book that I've read. It is the best written, best like story told. She did such a good job telling the story. I feel like it completely transported me into that world, and I just think that the author is so talented. I believe that this is the best written book that I have read. I do gotta say, when I first read this book, I feel like I rated it a 5-star, but now I would say it's like a 4.75 because I haven't really thought about the story since I finished it. But when I was thinking about books that would qualify for this question, this was the one that popped into my head because I have never read a book written like this. It's so unique. It just doesn't feel right to rate it a 5-star now that it's been so long and I haven't really thought about it. Like I said, I would say it's more like a 4.75, but I still would highly recommend you to read this book. Even though this isn't a 5-star read for me, I still would consider it the best book I've read in 2024 because it was the most beautifully written. Then that actually takes me to my least favorite book that I've read in 2024. It has been The Return by Nicholas Spark. And what's ironic is I also haven't thought about this book, but I also haven't thought about this one. So I don't really know what that really says. The Return by Nicholas Spark definitely was my least favorite that I read. I just didn't really enjoy the story. So from what I remember from the story, he was maybe like a 30-year-old veteran, and we follow him renovating one of his like uncle's house, and he ends up actually being a beekeeper at the same time because his uncle had beehives, and he ends up finding love, and it's based in North Carolina, and there's some vibes that are fun. I didn't care about the story, so that was my least favorite book that I've read so far. After it's been a few months too, I feel like I would rate that book probably just like a 2.75. Then to the third question. It is the newest release, but I have yet to read. That takes me to The Housemaid is Watching by Freida McFadden. I just got this book. I am so freaking excited to read this book. This is the third book in the series that Freida McFadden has going on. I feel like it is a series. It's the Housemaid series. The first book is The Housemaid, the second book is The Housemaid's Secret, and the third book is The Housemaid is Watching. Freida McFadden is easily one of my like top 3 favorite authors. I've read I think maybe 4 of her books by now, and I'm just obsessed. And considering that this is her newest release, like I'm just super excited. And I love Millie, the main character that's in these books, and I'm excited to see like where she is now. I'm assuming, you know, time has passed, so I'm curious as to see where she is now in life. This feels like a book that I'm definitely going to be picking up when I go on vacation, because Freida McFadden, going on an airplane and Freida McFadden, they go well together because she is an author that's just fast-paced. It gets to the point. It's super good. It's intriguing. All of those good things about a thriller. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited. How many times am I gonna say that? That I'm very excited. The most anticipated read, new release read for the second half of the year has to be Daydream by Hannah Grace. I don't know if it's the damn cover of that book. No, it has to be. The cover is purple and I think a little bit of pink, and the whole like cover is like a library or like books, I don't know. And then there's the two main characters in front of the book. So freaking beautiful. Also, what I think is feeding into the excitement is I saw on probably Smut's Instagram that they are coming out with a special edition of Daydream, and I am this close on buying all 3 of the entire Maple Hill series, and because the covers are just so beautiful. They are so beautiful. So the actual cover being beautiful and those special edition books, I'm just like, that made me that much more excited to read the book. And maybe it's a little silly that my most anticipated new release is because of the cover being that beautiful. Maybe that's silly, but I'm also just a girl, so leave me alone. I don't know too much about the story. I know that it's a romance, and it's a hockey romance, and the cover is purple and it is beautiful. So all of that, I'm sold. I am so excited. I believe that it comes out in early September. Sometime in September, my birthday month, so definitely will be buying that book as a birthday gift for myself. Daydream is definitely my most anticipated new release book of 2024. I just looked at my 5th question, and yeah, this feels right. So my biggest disappointment of 2024 so far has been Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. She is the same author as Malibu Rising and The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and those 2 books are one of my absolute favorite books that I've ever read in my life. And with that, classical rock is my favorite genre. So put the 2 together, the excitement that I had for this book was out of the water. I was so excited. And unfortunately, it was my biggest disappointment of the year. You know what's funny? This book I have thought about after finishing it, and randomly at work I was thinking about what would have made this book better. Like, why didn't I give it a 5-star? Why wasn't I completely obsessed with it? So first, let me say, this is Daisy Jones and the Six, so it's about 7 people in a band. It is in LA, and it is also a historical fiction. I can't really remember when it takes place, like maybe the 70s or 80s, I'm not too sure. And the book is written as an interview. So we're following the characters from the very beginning, before they started the band, all the way to the very end when there was no band. And we go through the story of them like writing stories, with them like taking photo shoots for magazines, like the Fame and drug addicts and, you know, music. Like, we talk all about that. But I think because it was written in an interview way, I wasn't able to truly connect with the characters. When I was thinking about it more, I realized what would have made this book a 5-star is if the characters' relationship would have been like die hard. I feel like the characters didn't get along. I feel like there was a lot of anger and resentment. I feel like a lot of the times we're reading about the characters being like, but it didn't matter because Billy didn't want to do it. But it didn't matter because Billy wanted to do this. Or it didn't matter because it was all Billy's choice. Like, I felt like the characters weren't connected and weren't like a strong bond, and it didn't feel like a found family aspect. Honestly, I felt like half of the characters in the band had a foot out the door. Like, it felt like any moment they were ready to just give it all up and just like go live their own lives. Like, it didn't feel like their entire heart and soul, like all of the characters, all the people in the band, it didn't feel like their entire heart and soul were in the band and in the music, and it didn't feel like they were completely like passionate in the band. And it sucked because I felt like you could just see it. And like literally throughout the story, there was one particular character that was like, hey, like, I have this girlfriend that I want to marry, that I want to have kids with, like, I don't want to do this forever, which is understandable. I understand that. But while you're at like your absolute highest and like fame and money, I mean, I guess that's good that they had their heart set in the right place. But I feel like when the band was at their highest, there was people that were ready to get out of the band at any given moment. This is maybe a little unpopular opinion, but I didn't really love Daisy. When they were first describing Daisy in the book, like describing her as sunshine and carefree, it was a lot of fun to read about, and it felt really, really cool. But as the story went on, I just wasn't the biggest fan of fanned. But I feel like as the story went on, I wasn't the biggest fan of Daisy. I felt like she was the tiniest little bit like insensitive or kind of just not respectful. She just wasn't my most favorite character, and I felt like all that wrapped up to say this was definitely my biggest disappointment of 2024, because I really thought this was going to be a 5-star. I feel like it was going to make me feel like I was a band member in the 70s and the 80s, listening to classical rock and just hanging out with friends that felt more just like brothers and sisters, and it didn't feel like that. That leads me to my next question. My biggest surprise of 2024. I will have to say the first book that popped into my head was The Woman in Me by Britney Spears. It is, of course, a memoir. I was taken back. I was surprised to have fallen in love with that story and have rated it a 5-star, because I didn't think that I was going to completely devour the story the way that I did. And I am not the biggest Britney Spears fan. I didn't grow up with her really. But after reading that book, I truly am a fan. I didn't grow up with Britney Spears, so I didn't really know too much of her life in the early 2000s. But after reading the memoir, I was just like blown away on her life, especially because I wasn't seeing it happen because I was born in the early 2000s. I think her story was written so well, and if you haven't read it, I highly recommend, and to search up trigger warnings. And I have actually recommended it to my grandma to read, and she's also really enjoying it too. So shout out to you, Grandma Diane. Thank you for taking my recommendation, and I'm really glad that she enjoyed it too. That definitely was my biggest surprise. I didn't expect to love it the way that I did. Now that takes me to my 7th and 8th question. My 7th question being my newest favorite author, and my 8th question to be my newest book crush. This is actually 2 birds, 1 stone sort of situation, and that is Flawless by Elsie Silver. So I do gotta say, she is my newest favorite author. I also didn't expect to enjoy this book as much as I did. I was a tiniest little bit hesitant or just like worried that I wasn't going to fall in love with it, but I did. And her writing, definitely one of my favorites now, but definitely my new favorite as of 2024. This is a cowboy romance based in a small town. I think it's based in like Canada, I think. And we're following our main characters, Rhett and Summer. And I gotta say, Rhett is my newest book crush. Oh boy. I was gonna say I'm surprised that I have a crush on a cowboy, but I don't. I really don't. It's kind of embarrassing. It's not embarrassing, just own it. I don't know why it's so weird to be like, I think cowboys are attractive, but they are. And Rhett in this book, he is definitely my newest crush. He is so damn handsome. I loved this book so much. This is definitely my newest favorite book, and also my newest favorite romance specifically. So good. I'm so excited to read the rest of the Chestnut Spring series. This is the first book in that series. I'm so excited to read more by Elsie Silver. She has the Off to the Races series that I'm really excited to read. I wish I could just like buy the entire series. I just love the writing. It's fast paced. It's easy to devour. It completely transports you into the book, and I love it. I love it so much. I highly also recommend to pick up a book by Elsie Silver, but specifically to read Flawless if you haven't already. Then that takes me to my newest favorite character. I do gotta say, I love Summer in this book. So I feel a little bad to not say that Summer is my newest favorite. But when I was thinking about it, thinking about all the books that I've read, I do gotta say that Julia, that's embarrassing, I can't even remember her name. Julia from I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter by Erica L. Sanchez is my newest favorite character. Let me put my thoughts together. Why do I just like her so much? The book is all based around her being a Mexican daughter in a toxic household with parents that are just really Mexican in the sense of they don't talk about their feelings, they don't validate you, they argue with you, and they're really rude to your face. In the very beginning of the book, it starts off with, and this says in the synopsis, her older sister Olga passing away. So not only is she dealing with her sister having passed, but she's also having to deal with parents that are very emotionally detached. And just her character, I just had so much fun following her along through her story. She just has so much growth and has become so emotionally intelligent throughout the book. And she's like 15, 16 years old, and she easily is my newest favorite character that I've read so far. And she made me laugh a lot too with like her comebacks to people. She was definitely like sassy and like witty and had good comebacks, and she was just a lot of fun to read about. So I also would highly recommend to pick this book up if you haven't already. Then that takes me to my 10th question, the very last question of today's video. My most beautiful book that I've bought so far this year. I feel it's right to say, I first thought about Funny Story by Emily Henry because, I mean, hello, the book is gorgeous and the hardcover is pink. But then I remembered about Magnolia Parks. Oh my goodness. You guys already know what the covers look like, so I'm not gonna go and show you guys all of them, but I am really tempted to just show you guys. But I'm going to show you guys the very first book because this one is one of my most favorite books. I think this cover is so beautiful, and it's definitely one of my newest favorite, most beautiful books I have bought. I bought this book on Books Please. It is a book website based in the UK, and very YouTuber of me. If you want 5% off your order of Books Please, then you can use code YAS. Honestly, I'm gonna talk about both of them. These are definitely the two most beautiful books that I have bought in 2024, and I am so excited to read both of them. Those, and plus some that I don't own, are all the books from the mid-year book tag. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, comment, share, all that good YouTube stuff. That is going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for still sticking along if you're here all the way to the end. Thank you so very much. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!